Hello, welcome along to the Rangers Rabble podcast live on YouTube on a very, very happy day to be a Rangers supporter. Hello, I'm Martin and I'm joined by Cammy and Scotty, my two usual cohorts. And I'm delighted to say, and I'll just bring Rowan on just now, that I am joined by Rowan and Huibert, two very happy Feyenoord fans as well. Guys, how are you?
Thank you. I'm fine.
I'm fine, thanks.
And the reason that Rowan was late was because I forgot to send him the link. So that's how professional I am. Cammy, how are you?
Aye, delighted. Just glad that the news is finally broken after the longest international week in history.
Yes, it really was. It really was. Scotty, my friend, how are you?
Fantastic. Never better.
Yes.
Definitely not ever so slightly hungover. But
yes.
Good. Yes. Definitely not.
I thought we would start just by getting the wisdom from Rowan and Huibert about getting a little bit into Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. Did I pronounce that all right, Hubert?
No, you didn't. No, you've said it 3 different ways. Just no.
At least I'm making an effort. So, Rowan, if you want to just tell us a little bit, obviously about Giovanni's time at Feyenoord, and how, and we'll go into more about his man management and his tactics and stuff, but just straight away, how he'll be remembered by the Feyenoord fans.
Yeah, I think he will be remembered very good because he won a lot of prizes. In 4 years, he trained Feyenoord. He took 5 prizes home, and also he took the seasonal cup, the Eredivisie. He won in 18 years. We had to wait 18 years before we could win it, and we won it with Gio. So that was very nice. So I think we will remember him like a very good fellow that took us some places.
Yeah, and Huibert, you were actually telling me before we started that amazingly he's, in terms of winning things, one of Feyenoord's greatest ever managers, or most successful, I should say.
Yeah,
most successful manager Feyenoord ever had. So and then of course he will be remembered as very positive, of course. And like Rowan just mentioned, especially that we won the title after 18 years. That is of course a huge victory for all the fans and also for Van Bronckhorst himself, I think. And he was also playing for Feyenoord for quite a long time, and he joined Feyenoord at the end of his career, still as an active player. Also by the time he was still playing pretty well, sometimes players come back when it's already a bit too late, but he was still doing very well. So
it's. I mean, we could sit here all day and talk about just how good a player he was. He was honestly phenomenal. Scotty, I want to get to your question for the guys because it's the one that interests me the most. We'll have loads of questions about Gio, but I'll let you take your question away.
Which one?
The pressure one.
Oh, right, yeah. So I know Feyenoord, obviously, absolutely huge club. I've got a lot of respect for them, and I expect in very similar ways. I know it hasn't necessarily gone to plan for you guys as much as you'd like. Pretty similar to us as well over the last 10 years or whatnot. But the pressure still remains to win every game. There's always going to be that expectation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But naturally, when you don't have the resources like Ajax or PSV, it's going to be hard to maintain that and hard to maintain the position at the top of the Eredivisie. How did he see after he won the Eredivisie? How did he cope with the pressure of the expectation after that? I don't know who to ask. Either one of you can jump in.
Should I go first?
Yeah, fine.
I think he was always pretty steady, in my opinion. Even, no matter if, I think I recall a situation when we lost, I think that was after winning, no, that was, I think before winning the league actually, that we lost around 7 matches in a row. And I think he was still quite stable in his emotion and in his presentation towards the crowd. And I think that is, he's just reasonable and steady. I think rather than steady as in his communication.
So is he? Quite a character that doesn't necessarily let emotion rule himself and his thought process.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost maybe a little bit boring, you could say, but
I think that's what you need when you're at a big club, isn't it? If you start getting emotional, letting your emotions get involved in your decisions, that's when you can start making bad decisions.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
So how did he, I don't know, in terms of pressure, react, turn things around? Did you feel like he was always in control?
Well, at that time that he lost 7 matches in a row, we had Advocaat. We had Advocaat supporting him. Seriously, he was actually really with the club and supporting Van Bronckhorst, because it was also not really an experienced trainer. Feyenoord was his first job. So I think he apparently needed some support from an experienced guy, and he got it. And I'm not sure if that was what did make him pass through, but it probably helped him, I guess.
Yeah. I should just say to everybody in the comments, because we're getting loads and loads of comments, if you've got any questions for the guys, please do get them in. Rowan, Curry Muncher's asking, can you ask the guys what type of players he brought into Feyenoord? Was it mostly Dutch players, or did he bring players from outside Holland as well?
Hubert, if I'm wrong, correct me, but I think they had a lot of Dutch players at that moment. And the money was a little bit short, so they couldn't bring in very much outside of the Netherlands. So he had a group, and he had to do it with that group. Or am I wrong, Hubert? What do you think?
No, I think quite some Dutch players were indeed playing for Feyenoord by then. Of course, I think the resources within Feyenoord have been limited already for years. So when he started, it was not anything different. And some key players. We had like Dirk Kuyt, of course, returning as well around that time. And a few other Dutch experienced players.
Yeah. Do you think because of who he was, he managed to get the best out of players? Is he, in terms of man management, do you think he's one that really gets on with his squad and communicates well, friendly, that kind of manager, and really gets absolutely everything out of them?
Yeah. I think the team.
You can go. Take it. You can take it.
Okay. I think the team building by Gio was very good, because if you see like pictures of it and hear stories of other players, Dirk Kuyt wrote a book about it, and if you hear how the team was connected, it sounded like a real team. Like they stood in for each other and they were a real team, and I think that it made them champions at the end. So, no.
Cammy, do you want to maybe try and ask a question while your internet seems to be working?
What's he like? Is he a hands-on coach when he's on the training ground? Steven Gerrard was very much a figurehead, and he relied on Michael Beale as his coach. Is Giovanni a hands-on coach that's going to improve players, or does he rely on others?
Good question. We had some players which really improved. I think we had like Karsdorp and Congelo, Rowan, those youngsters. But it's a bit difficult, or if this is due to the coaching, or just that it were talentful players, right? So it's probably a bit of both, I would say.
Is he a guy that likes to trust the youngsters? Does he like bringing through youth players, bringing through his own players that he can mould, maybe, rather than he got the experienced pro who's kind of set in their ways, that only play one way, whereas a youth player he might want to trust more? What was it like when he came in? Did he change much?
I think he's willing to give youngsters the opportunity. Also within Feyenoord, of course, due to the limited resources, sometimes he also had to do that, right?
Yeah.
What do you feel, Rowan?
Now, I was thinking about Nieuwkoop. That was an older player, also back. So and we had a younger player, and he gave the younger player a chance, I think, over that player. So I think he will give the youth some chance if they're showing that they're worthy of the first team.
Yeah.
So obviously, one of the big things people are going to want to know is what's his style of football? Is it passing? Is it counter attack? We've obviously heard that he likes to play a 4-3-3, quite similar to the way that Rangers play right now. So what's his football like, and what should the Rangers fans expect?
Yeah, I think when he was head coach of Feyenoord, we played indeed usually 4-3-3 with the classic number 9, I would say. Usually with a offensive central attacking midfielder and 2 more defensive midfielders. I think we had mainly some wing backs, and as the wing strikers, they had the intention to move more towards the box, to the center of the pitch, and then they tried to create some kind of an overlap, with the wing backs. I think that's what I recall. I think from all the years actually, that he tried to play that game. And of course,
was it very
depend on the players, but yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Rowan. Was he very pressing orientated? Obviously, we see a lot of teams nowadays, and all the top teams seem to be very pressing heavy, pressing from the front. Was that the type of style that Feyenoord played?
I don't think so. It was a little bit more back, and then when the opponent makes a mistake, they go over it and give the ball to the 9 and then score a goal. So the pressing was not that high from what I think of it. It's now at the moment it's higher than it was before, I think. Oh.
Well, there you go. We're getting a lot of questions about Roy Mackay. Now, please forgive my ignorance. I don't know if, and I probably should have researched this, but you guys obviously don't realise that I'm just not very professional. I don't know if Roy Mackay was a coach with Gio at Feyenoord, but I'm guessing he was because I'm getting lots of questions about him. So if he was, and what was he like as a coach? How good was he? Because we're hearing lots and lots of positive reports about him.
I think he was indeed part of the group supporting Van Bronckhorst at that time. I recall that he was also coaching attacking youth players, or that's what he did at least within Feyenoord. Furthermore, it's a bit difficult to judge what the roles and responsibilities were within the team, of course. But that's what I really recall, that he was training youngsters, young strikers to become better.
No, there you go. Because it's obviously been announced as well today that, I think it was on Sky Sports News, Cammy, that we've brought in Roy Mackay. Is that right?
Yeah, there was a Dutch journalist speaking on Sky Sports News, and he broke it. I just remember Roy Mackay, the player. Roy Mackay was a fantastic goal scorer back in the day, and if he manages to pass on any of the goal scoring traits that he had to the strikers and the young players that we have, that can only be a good thing. I'm interested by the number 9. The number 9 for Rangers has always played almost like Firmino does at Liverpool, and from what I can gather, Gio likes a number 9 to play like a number 9 in the penalty box, putting the ball in the back of the net. So you will recall Alfredo Morelos, who scored against Feyenoord
twice.
Twice. two great headers, and Alfredo's probably the fans' favourite, and I think we all want him to get back to the goal scorer that he was 2 seasons ago. His game has changed, so I'm interested to see how Gio and Roy Mackay and the rest of his background team get the best of Alfredo and get him back to being the goal scorer and the number 9, which we want him to be.
Yeah. Just finally, guys, Scott, if you want to jump in many more questions, please do feel free. Just finally from me, and I'll put this to both of you guys. Do you expect, and I'm obviously hoping that you say yes very much so to this question, but from what you've seen, do you expect Giovanni Van Bronckhorst to be a big success in Scotland?
I think he can be successful, yes. Also because of his history within the club. So he probably knows, knows the people and knows the culture. I think that is probably a big help. Yeah, and if we're just looking at the experience we have with him and the results, they were just you cannot really say anything negative about that actually. So I would say that there are opportunities there. Yeah.
Well, if you can't say anything negative, that's perfect.
Can I just ask, just out of interest, why did he leave?
Good question.
Good question. Yeah, well, what I recall is that at a certain moment, because in the beginning, in the first years, it felt like everything he touched, changed in gold, what we say. But after a period, I think the gameplay changed a little bit, and of course some players leave and some new players come in, and I think somehow I had the feeling that it just didn't work out anymore. After 4 years, it's also sometimes just time for something new, right?
Yeah, it just gets a bit stale, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the whole cycle of management is a talk about. Rowan, final question to yourself. Are there any current Feyenoord players that GVB is likely to be interested in bringing to Rangers? Is there anybody for that current Feyenoord team that we could maybe see at Rangers in January or in the summer?
I don't know what he's interested in.
And signing?
I saw a list somewhere on the internet, like Gio could take these guys from Feyenoord if he would like. I saw there Guus Til. He's on loan now at Feyenoord, and I think he could be a very good player for Rangers. Very easy scoring guy. He scored a lot for Feyenoord. And hard worker, also important, I think, that he puts a lot of hard work in the game. So even if he don't score, he puts a lot of work. So that compares a little bit then.
Yeah. Guys, listen, absolutely fantastic. Thank you for coming on. I know it was at very short notice that he's got back to us, and I really do appreciate it. And hopefully, this maybe the start of next year, or maybe sooner, we can get you back on and we can see how Gio's getting on. So, guys, thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Cheers.
There you go, Huibert and Rowan. They're absolutely fantastic. And listen,
they're that fantastic. You can't get their names right.
Listen, I apologise. My Dutch is not great. I apologise. But there you go.
It's about the same as your English, to be fair.
Well, yeah. But that was amazing. So big thanks to them. Spot on. So Scotty, Gio is the manager. How are you feeling, my friend?
I wanted him before Gerrard. When Pedro left, he would have been my number one choice back then. So I am over the moon. I just think it's a great fit. I probably 3.5 years ago, it wouldn't have been probably the best timing for either of us. I don't think we would have suited him back then, nor with his experience at that point maybe suited us. I think he just won the title with Feyenoord actually, but it would have been a bit ambitious. But he's come in. He's at a stage in his career where he's won trophies. He won a shed load as a player. He's won a lot as a manager. He's all the experience he's had so far, as far as I'm concerned, is good experience. I mean, people point to his time in China, but I think the team that he went to, pretty much he did expected what that team and that resources was supposed to do. And I know a lot of people will probably want to jump on that and call him a failure, but when you go to China, it's an absolute lottery. And he's come back. We've come back at we're at a point where we're the champions. We're top of the league, 4 points. We've got a semi-final on Sunday. You know, his first Old Firm game could potentially be a cup final at Hampden, so that's exciting in itself. I mean, what a time! I just think it's for both parties. It's for where we are. It's an absolute perfect marriage. I'm just so excited to see what he brings. And by what the boys were saying there, I can probably expect to see quite a lot of continuity. Mm-hmm. So in terms of what they were saying, in terms of his man management style, again, that will be a real positive plus. And I think if he is one of these managers that does get the best out of his players, he'll give us a real lift and a real boost, because I think that's what we need at the moment. Because I do think that perhaps we were a little bit stale. I know hindsight's 20/20 vision, but I was harping on about it for ages. I just want to say I told you so. But there you go. Didn't take a rocket scientist to work it out, but yeah, really excited.
Yeah, no, and you know what? It's so good to be back there in the pod. Cam, it feels like we've not done a podcast for ages, apart from these breaking news pods.
It's good to get on, be positive, look forward. Mm-hmm. We're in a great position. He's going to have to, without it saying we enjoy this, but he needs to hit the ground running, and the next 6-7 weeks are a proper baptism of fire for him. But you're bringing in a guy that's played in Scotland. He knows what it takes to go to Easter Road and Tynecastle and Pittodrie and all these places and get the results that we are going to need during the month of December. I think I'm really excited. I think I've been a huge fan of Gio all the way back to when he was a player. Followed his career with interest since. Done a great job at Feyenoord, and I'm just excited. I just think different voices, and I think John Walker spoke about it in the breaking news earlier. In any employment, if you hear the same messages day in, day out for 3 or 4 years, it reaches a point where you just switch off, and I think you're just going, it's autopilot. And watching the Rangers team so far this season has been a very coached Rangers team, but just very I think Scotty's nailed it, very stale. I think they're bringing in Roy Mackay, and he's going to bring his assistant when that's possible as well. Gio himself will have a different style. I'm intrigued how they talk about 2 sitting players, 4-3-3, 2 sitting players, and who's the 10? Is it Hadji?
It's Hadji. Hadji's a 10.
But
Hadji's a 10.
But that we've spoke about it. Hadji playing as part of a middle 3, so it sounds as though Gio and Hadji will be a good fit, which is great. But you've got Aribo who can play that position as well, and I think it's. I'm just interested to see what he makes of what he's got to work with, because I don't think there's going to be a pot of cash for him to spend in January. He'll have been told what his sole remit. Remit seems to be the word of the day, to be honest with you. But his sole remit is to win this league championship and open up the riches of the Champions League. But super excited. I just hope we see him in the dugout sooner rather than later, and the work permit issues are resolved very, very quickly.
Yeah, I'm sure they will be. Scotty, a quick word for Ross Wilson. Rangers Twitter over the last 2, 3, 4 days has been...
Do you mean you?
No, not at all. No, I think my tweets have been hilarious. So if anybody's watching, head over to Twitter at Rangers Rabble, and honestly, my comedy is just outstanding.
Is it comedy now? Right, okay.
While I'm doing the advertisement, of course we're on YouTube, and you're watching on YouTube. If you haven't already, please do like and subscribe. A like goes a lot further than you can ever imagine. And of course, we do have loads of extra content on our Patreon at patreon.com/Rangers Rabble. The link is in the description. Now, Scotty, I forgot what I was going to ask you, but I think it was about Ross Wilson, wasn't it? There you go.
Has he played a blinder? Is that what you're going to ask?
Well, yeah. and we can delve deeper into it if you want. I mean, people were complaining that the process was taking too long. There was 3, 4, 5 people getting interviewed. Blah 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 blah.
Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? I think people are comparing how quickly Gerrard moved to Villa in comparison to Gio coming in. Now, just a few things on that. I am convinced, I do not know this as a fact, but I am convinced that Gerrard has been lined up for that job for not weeks, months. Going back probably to the end of last season, I reckon they probably had a conversation, him and his pal, right, okay, you're coming in to replace Dean Smith. And as we know, managers, it's more of a case of when, not if. So, pardon my
that is,
cynicism.
of course, your assumption and not the assumption.
That is my assumption and my cynicism in the world of football. Now, we have to move more fluid than that in terms of, right, okay, we have a managerial vacant position. It would be stupid just to offer it to the first guy that comes along. Now, not everyone's available for an interview straight away. So it does take a few days. And that process will take a few days. To get the whole thing done and dusted over the line in 6 days is nothing short of remarkable, whether Gio's in a job or not. So well done, Ross Wilson. Clearly, you know, he always had contingencies in place. I think he's always talked about you know, being ready. So I think periodically he'd probably go through the process privately or with the board of directors and say, look, just in case the inevitable happens, we need to look at who's available on the market and who is, even those attached to a club, who's in our, as Cammy says, one of a better word, remit that we can approach. And they've done that in a really short period of time. And not only that, but when they, you know, made the decision quite clearly on Van Bronckhorst to get that done in a couple of days, again, is a testament to probably the determination to get it done. And I know we're probably all ideal to get it done before the semi-final on Sunday, but it doesn't always work out like that. And regardless of that, he would have been in the dugout even if it got done 5 days ago, because it's a bit unfair to ask him just to jump in the dugout. What's he going to do? Put his stamp on things? No, we've got to have continuity. So, yeah, exciting. Very, really excited for him on Monday. Happy.
Oh, yeah.
What was the question?
JM Ross Wilson has been our best signing. CGM 26 minutes in the first mention of Patreon standards are slipping. Yeah, it's because we had the two guys on, so my head was a wee bit in the interview mode. And I'm rubbish at interviews. Yeah. Look, Curry Muncher, Scotty, there's no way him and all the backroom staff would just sign up within 14 hours for Villa. It's people's opinions. He's got out next. I didn't mean to pull that one up. There you go. Gerrard was second choice by Martinez, who decided to stay and not win the World Cup with Belgium. Northern bingo. Thank God it wasn't McInnes. I think we all share that.
I like McInnes.
Just
as a manager.
Yeah. Cammy Wolf puts in, look, and hello, Mr. Wolf. How are we? We need to give Mr. Van Bronckhorst time to get his ideas across. He'll hardly have any time on the training pitch till January the 2nd with 2 games a week.
Bang on. That's, I don't think he'll change. He won't change too much. I think the fact that his philosophy and the formations are very similar to what he's played, I think can only be a good thing. And I think the fact that the coaches that are there, I don't know how quickly his backroom team, so he's going to rely on the people that have been part of the club, you know, Jermaine Defoe and the other coaches that are going to be there. But he's got a good group of players. You know, it's like at the end of the day, you know, I genuinely believe that this is a good time for a change. And I think the fact that we've got such a run of games can only be a good thing, and I'm sure that he will be successful. But he's got the fans behind him, and there's not many Rangers managers have ever had such unanimous
ridiculous,
backing.
Isn't it?
I mean, listen, we were all delighted back in 2018 when the previous manager came in. but that was because we'd had the farce that was Pedro and Murty. So Steven Gerrard was a name, but if you look back, that was a colossal gamble because you just didn't know how it was going to pan out. We're now in a far better position. Gio's inheriting a squad in a good position. He's inheriting a squad with a lot of assets. He's got young players that can come into the mix, not just Nathan Patterson. So everything to be positive, and we just have to start with a win on Sunday, and then hopefully he's in the dugout for the game next Thursday night. But it's energised the whole support, because I think the Rangers support's been a bit stale. I think since we got knocked out the Champions League in August, I think you've had a couple of games where the atmosphere, particularly at Ibrox, has been decent. But I just think that this gives the Sea of Orange is going to be 30,000 fans at Hampden on Sunday and what have you. And I can't wait to give Gio a Rangers welcome on Sunday at Hampden.
Yeah, we will most definitely come to that. Cammy, do you want to have our wee youth debate?
No,
I don't know.
We'll have that. We can have that another.
I'm joking. I know, Scotty. Look, for the fans themselves, the reaction to Van Bronckhorst. I mean, look, not every ex-player is going to come and be successful or is successful once they've left, but the reaction for the Rangers support has been nothing short of sensational.
I know. I think as soon as his name was mentioned, I think it was just him. I've just got a really good feeling about this. Feeling about him. I desperately hope it works. Maybe it's a bit of nostalgia. Maybe it's a bit of the name. But it's certainly the fact that he's won trophies. He's won, and he's done it at Feyenoord. And part of me wants to go, right, okay, well, hold on a minute, have a bit of reality check. As far as Van Bronckhorst goes at Feyenoord, he's a bit of a god, a bit of a legend. So therefore, he will have that natural spark, that natural aura. And yes, he is possibly, as a player, one of the fans' favourites, particularly when he was here. And he was always a player that I looked out for after he left because he was that good. Is he going to have that same aura coming into Rangers? Perhaps not to the same extent, but he's certainly going to give us a lift, and he's certainly going to give the whole place a lift. And he's got that respect. What was the question? I can't remember. I'm tired.
That's okay. I think you answered that very, very well. And you actually mentioned something that Cammy is a very good point. With regards to Gio's reputation, he's got a fantastic reputation from his time at Arsenal, Barcelona, Holland. I think one of the big things that we used to maybe all speak about behind closed doors was, look, when Gerrard goes, how are we going to be able to attract, the Ryan Kents, the Joe Aribos, the players like that, especially from England? I don't think we're going to have any problem attracting players when you've got Van Bronckhorst giving you a phone call, will you?
I think it'll open up a different market as well. I think he'll know. I'm not saying that we weren't scouting the Eredivisie in Germany and all the countries, Belgium and what have you. I know we do that anyway. But Gio's going to have played against or managed against players in the Dutch league that he might think, he's going to be suited to come to Scotland, and 106 times he played for Netherlands. He captained them at the World Cup final. He had a fantastic career. He won the Champions League. He is going to walk into that Rangers dressing room tomorrow, and assuming he's allowed to walk into the dressing room as long as he doesn't work on the training ground. But I think he's going to get instant respect. The players are going to respect him because of what he has achieved as a footballer, and I think he will instantly, very much like the last manager, will command that respect, and undoubtedly will. And if that can help us keep the top players that we have, because we do have a worry over certain players maybe being Gerrard's men sort of situation. Ultimately footballers are footballers. They're only interested in them in themselves. And I think as long as they have a coach and a manager that they trust and they get on with, if an offer gets made for an extended contract, hopefully Gio can be a positive influence and can keep Ryan Kent and can keep Joe Aribo and potentially Connor Golson. You know, I mean, you never know. And a different voice might have an impact. But Gio's going to be great for the fans, and he's also going to be great for the attracting players and also developing players.
Can we go one podcast without mentioning Connor Goldson?
Sorry.
And contracts and all that in between?
If you invite me onto the podcast, I'll talk about it. Sorry.
And also, Scotty, whatever you're doing, gonna stop doing it because it's making a hell of a noise.
What?
You're playing with something. I can hear it. Yeah, that.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
That is extremely annoying. You've made me go all boss man, and I don't like going all boss man. You know, that's strict and all that. Anyway, Scotty, the Ajax team that Gio beat was unbelievable, and the reason I bring that up is because Gio isn't doing it, and this has already been mentioned, but Gio isn't doing what Gerrard done. Gio isn't coming into a Rangers team that are struggling, that are getting battered 5-1 at home. He's coming into a Rangers team who just won the league, top of the league at the moment, and Celtic really, really struggle to play against us, and Celtic are probably scared to play against us because we've just got this control over them. So if he can do that with a Feyenoord team against that Ajax team, I mean, the sky's the limit for what he can do with this Rangers team.
Yeah, he's got a good platform to build on. Wait and see what happens. I mean, it's all dependent on the next couple of months, I suppose. And as Cammy says, it's really exciting, and you don't really expect him to change too much up until January. But what we've got is a lot of games, 2 games a week, so on and so forth. And that actually gives him a lot of time to actually make some tweaks. Not big changes, but slight tweaks. And then if you look at how we play on Sunday in comparison to the week after, and then jump forward to January, the old firm game at New Year's.
The second.
Is it the 2nd of Jan?
Yeah.
We probably will see more of a difference, and that'll be exciting in itself. But as you say, with that continuity of how we play, we've also got the continuity of the players, and they have that mentality, and they know what it takes to get the across the finish line, especially when it comes to beating Celtic. So you expect that to continue. The only thing, you've probably got a slight concern about is obviously January coming up, and we are going to expect players going out and probably some players coming in. So therefore, post-January, we'll probably see more of a difference, as well as that added time on the training pitch.
I'm sorry, I was listening, I promise. I seen this comment and I didn't want to lose it, and I've lost it. So there we go. Wait till I find it. I can't find it. There you go.
Do you want to do this while you wait?
I wonder what he will do with Itten and Katic. I don't know if they can be recalled or if the teams they are away and loan options to buy, all that sort of stuff. Transfer-wise, Cammy, I don't really foresee much happening in January, unless, of course, there's 1 or 2 maybe horrendous injuries. But I don't think we'll see Gio spending or doing much until the summer window at least.
No, I think we've got a big squad. It's. I think the only worry for me is how quickly Philip Hollander comes back from his injury. That's the only. I'm not saying Nikola Katic can come back and slot straight back in, but we're very bare at that position at the moment. You've got Balogun, Bassey going away to the African Cup of Nations, and Nigeria's not a bad side, but I really hope they get pumped out in the group stages and we get them back as quickly as possible. I think we're fortunate that it starts at a time when the winter break is happening, so we might lose them for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, but hopefully not too much. But centre half's the only position that slightly concerns me, and that's something that he'll probably already be aware of. But does that mean you bring in a loan signing, or do you bring Katic back, or whatever? That's their decisions that Gio's going to have to make. But I don't see I don't see a big offer coming in. A lot of people are talking about Villa coming and raiding us for Kamara and Kent and all that sort of stuff. You've got financial fair play down there. So I think Villa spent a lot of money in the summer after they sold Grealish. So I think they're limited. We're not going to sell Golson if he's 4 months away for the end of his contract, because it's not worth, but winning the league's going to be easier with Connor Golson playing at centre half, but I don't see a lot of business, to be honest with you. I think we're sitting with a squad of 25, 26 as it is, when everybody's, we're going to have good players sitting in the stand. That's the reality of the situation, and I'm just intrigued how he sets up who the two sitters are. Lundstrom was very much a Gerrard signing. Is he going to be Gio's type of player? There's just a lot of questions, and I think that's exciting over the next few weeks. You're not going to be able to really predict a Rangers starting 11 because
you never could anyway.
Well, you couldn't, but you had a rough idea.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's fresh and it's exciting for us. That I'm just excited about Morelos. I'm also intrigued if they look at his fitness and they think he needs to get fitter for him to be the number 9 that Gio wants, or does he fancy Roof, or does he fancy Zakala? Does he play with 2 natural wide players, as in wingers, or is it Aribo and Kent? Or I think it's very very exciting.
Of course, that all depends on what he's been promised by the club. And somebody put that in a comment, but look, there's no point in speculating on stuff like that when we've got absolutely no idea at all. Scotty, the biggest question for me, and I think this is I think this is on the minds of every single Rangers supporter: who gets custody of Andy Firth? What happens?
True story. I found out one of the guys that I work with is pals with Andy Firth. How weird is that? And they're all going up to, I can't remember what game it is, but at the start of December, they're all going up to see him and go out for a night out. He absolutely loves it at Rangers. He's not here for Gerrard. He's here for Rangers. He absolutely loves it. He'd give everything he could or everything he can to stay at Rangers. And I think probably, obviously, he's we do talk about him as if he's a bit of a joke figure, but I think in all seriousness, if he could get in the team and do everything, he'd absolutely love it. But he's doing his coaching badges. So I think that's the direction he's going in. And, he still deserves a level of respect for what he does at the club. Therefore, there's absolutely no reason why not he can't stay. So, yeah, as long as he's... every single person at that football club plays their part, from whether they're working at the reception desk at Ibrox, or whether they're handing out the food at the training centre, to who's putting out the coaches at cones at the football club. Everyone plays their part, and you need everyone giving 100% to be successful. So, I've not got a problem.
See the one.
Sorry, Cammy. Thanks for making me look like a proper idiot. I was only trying to have a joke, and you made me look like a right idiot there.
That wasn't intentional. And do you know what?
I apologise sincerely to Andy Firth, by the way.
Do you know what? We're all absolutely guilty of it. We're all absolutely guilty of it. I'm not pointing the finger at anyone or saying this, but it's only through what I found out literally the other week that one of his pals works in my office, and he was telling me all this stuff, and it kind of made me go, right, okay, well, perhaps I shouldn't take the piss too much. But that said, he takes the piss out of himself an awful lot. So don't feel bad.
You also could have told me that before we went live. But Cammy, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I was just Jimmy Bell. I mean, my God, Jimmy Bell was the Rangers kit man when Gio was a player back in the late 90s. John Gregg was working. He was a sort of support for Dick Advocaat at the time. I just think Alan McGregor was probably a young keeper starting to break through at that point. It's mad how essentially 20 years on from Gio leaving the club to go to Arsenal, that he's came back as manager, and there's still people within the playing staff and the training ground that were there 20 years ago, so he will know, he knows the football club, and I think that's a huge positive for him, and he knows the environment that is Scottish football. He knows the Goldfish Bowl. He's managed at a big club in Feyenoord where there's an expectation, so he knows that expectation as well, and but it's just let's go, or let's right. Gio, as they say.
Let's Gio. Right, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to move away slightly from talking about Gio, even though it is obviously the biggest bit of news today. But let's have a wee conversation. And Cammy, I'm going to apologise, but this is going to be very, very, very quick. It has been the international break, so there has been international matches on, Scotty. Scotland have managed to finish second in their group, behind a very, very, very good Denmark team, who they beat 2-0 at Hampden, and what I have to say is probably the best I've seen Scotland play in a long, long time. But I want to focus more on the game before against Moldova. We've seen our very own Nathan Patterson, who I must say online was getting slagged, score a goal and assist. Phenomenal.
Scott. He's a fantastic young talent. He's just I think he's probably not played since the last time he played for Scotland. And he just slips in seamlessly. He did look a bit rusty at points, but I think there's a hatred. Hatred's maybe the wrong word, but I think because he plays for Rangers, and I know people that were over at the game in Moldova and they'd heard I'm getting a bit of stick off the fans, but he answered it the right way. He stuck one in with his left peg, and then he lays on the assist for the second goal. Nathan Patterson's going to be an absolute superstar. And it's we just have to see how Gio handles the conundrum that is the right back position. But for Scotland, brilliant. And I must admit, I watched the Scotland Denmark game, and Nathan was obviously suspended for that. Scotland played really, really well, and I've been very, very critical of Steve Clarke, particularly during the Euros, but they played some really, really good stuff. Don't think the Danes were quite at their best, to be honest with you. But brilliant result for Scotland, and I think 2 games away from the World Cup in Qatar, and come March time you might have Ryan Jack available to if he's managed to get a run of games and a run of fitness without any mishaps, and Ryan Jack at his best plays in that Scotland team. There's no any doubt about that.
No, absolutely. And Scotty, I only ask about the Scotland game because it was the only international game I got to see during the break. I didn't even see how Kamara got on. I don't even know if Barisic travelled. That's how out the
I did. It was on the bench.
Yeah, I don't even know if he played any minutes. But like I say, Patterson, for all the calls, just
do you know what? It's absolutely pathetic. It's complete blind negativity. And it's from quarters that I necessarily wouldn't expect. I mean, Celtic fans, I kind of expect it because they're as thick as shit. But other people that watch football, I don't understand why you'd want to be negative against the 19, 20-year-old earning their 6th or 7th cap. And I've said this before, Steve Clarke should have gone after the Euros purely for the fact he fucked that up. And he fucked that up because he didn't play his best 11. And it's absolutely testament that post that best 11, post giving them all a run of games together, that Scotland game against Denmark was possibly, of my lifetime, the best I've seen Scotland play. I'm really struggling to actually see more of a complete performance. And that includes seeing them beat France, remember them beating the Dutch. Those games, in that particular moment, that was a great siege mentality, defensive performance, and smash and grab. But that Scotland team against Denmark deserved every single bit of the plaudits, every single bit of that win, because they were brave on the ball, they were inventive, they pressed, the energy. It was so impressive. And that's what should have happened at the Euros. It's not a case of too little too late, because we move forward. And Scotland are, provided that they keep picking the best 11, are really onto something. So kudos, because it's a very exciting time. And then you add more Rangers players into the mix. McLaughlin's in the squad, Jack's coming in, Patterson's there. Ideally, you want to see a couple more step up over the next couple of years and get in there. Whether who knows what's going to happen with Kelly, McCrory, Kennedy. These guys have got screw the head, keep the mentality. These guys have got a real strong chance of being part of something special with Scotland. And I'm absolutely delighted. But this blind negativity towards Rangers players has got to stop. It serves no purpose. Absolutely, it's just lunacy.
Yeah, do you know something? This could be a discussion on its own for an hour. I just personally think that, and I'm not just saying this with blue tinted glasses on. I think the hatred from one certain club to another has gone too far, and I think that club has allowed it to go that far with some of the rhetoric they use, just to show off to their supporters. That I honestly cannot see that changing anytime soon. But Cammy, what would you rather have, John McGinn or Disco Lights?
Listen, I think we'd spoke about it, and see, for John McGinn, in all seriousness, John McGinn should be grateful that Celtic bought the Disco Lights, because for John McGinn's football career, the best thing for him was to go to England and do what he's doing. I mean, his improvement over the last couple of years and has been phenomenal. I mean, he's the main man in that Scotland team. And, it's his body shape isn't what you would call your typical footballer, but he's so strong on the ball and what have you. But I think it's Disco Lights or sign John McGinn for an extra £500,000.
It's lunacy. It's absolute lunacy.
The thing is, Villa bought him for what? 3.5 million, 3 million. They could sell him for 35, 40 million tomorrow.
Easily.
And it's good for our point of view, and it's good for John McGinn's point of view that they chose Disco Lights as the better option.
Yeah, for those fantastic nights that where. Hey, let's get back to Rangers. Scotty, we have a game on Sunday that I am very, very much looking forward to, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing you as well. Probably what I'm looking forward to most. This is
big cuddles all around.
Yes, this is good. The atmosphere on Sunday is going to be something else. It's going to be phenomenal.
It's going to be absolutely bouncing, particularly as I'm going to spend the next two days. Is it trying to learn that Dutch song? So yeah, absolutely delighted. I'll be doing that from my posh seats up in the second tier. I think John Walker was actually sat in my seat for that Denmark game, so I hope he left it clean. Yeah, very, very excited. I really think we'll come out the blocks. Yeah, I'd be interested to see what the lineup is, because obviously the guys in charge will probably have their own little preference. Might change it up a bit. Who knows? But, yeah.
Well, this is it.
I just love coming up to Glasgow, and I love going to Hampden. Obviously, Ibrox is my home, but I love coming up to Hampden. There's something special about having it's like a boys' day out, isn't it? Just get up to
and
by the way, more mischief.
I have to say, and I won't name it, but that pub that we're going to meet up in, I think it was only over the last 10, maybe 15 years, they installed a women's toilet. There was never a women's toilet in it. But there you go. That's just a wee bit of trivia for you on the old pub.
I didn't know that.
Cammy, how much are you looking forward to this? I should actually ask, because Scotty mentioned it there. It's obviously your good friend Colin Stewart, who does the Rangers Lotto, that's taking the team. I should point out that's a joke for anybody who doesn't know. But with obviously Colin Stewart, Jermaine Defoe as well helping out. It's a big day for them, I suppose, as well.
I mean, it's essentially the B team coaches, David
Yeah.
McCallum, and who's the other boy's name? Oh, dearie me.
Come on, we're professional. You've got this, Cammy.
Oh, that's terrible. I can't actually think. He was at Rangers.
I'm too angry to even tell you the answer.
He was on Blue Heaven as a Rangers youth player. Oh, dearie me. But anyway, I think David McCallum will be the man that will be in front of the press when they do the pre-match.
Brian Gilmore.
Brian Gilmore. I knew it was the Billy Gilmore, but I think these guys have obviously been coaching the youth players, and I think this is where Ross Wilson, the continuity of approach within the youth setup, the B team setup, the first team setup, they're probably all very, very similar to allow that when your backroom team leaves the building one week, that the backroom team and the B team can slot in and sort of backfill until the new manager and his people are there, sort of thing. I think Scotty says I don't expect a lot of changes. I don't. I think you've got a lot of players away on international duty, and some players have had a break. I think there has to be, and I think that will be very much the way over the next few weeks, is a relatively consistent starting 11 where at all possible, because that's what has bred decent performances over the last few weeks, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great. I mean, I think Hibs have sold about 2 busloads for the game, and I think Rangers have pretty much got the whole stadium from what I can gather. We owe Hibs. We think back to that Scottish Cup final in 2016. Yes. I've seen Rangers lose to Hibs back in the 90s in a semi-final back in the early 90s when Walter was the manager. So we just need to win on Sunday. And I think you're going to have probably 35,000 Rangers fans, as high as a kite. As much to do, that's a 4 o'clock kickoff, and there's a few beers can be consumed in the time between the pubs opening and 4 o'clock, to be honest with you. But we need to do the business on the park and make it a special game, and get back to Hampden and win the cup before Christmas. I think that's what I'm saying about Gio. He's got one hell of a first 6-7 weeks. I don't think any Rangers manager has ever had a more challenging opening 6 or 7 weeks with regard to the fixtures. But in 6 weeks' time, we could be 7 or 8 points clear at the top of the table. We could be into the next stages of the Europa League, and we could have won the League Cup. That's what.
Yeah, but we focus on Sunday. Let's just focus on Sunday.
Sorry, but I'm just talking.
You've got us winning the Champions League, man. I mean, I believe you. I believe everything you say. But look, Scotty Cammy mentions it there. The fans are going to be absolutely buzzing on Sunday. We're going to be loving it. But how quickly football can bring you crashing back down to earth with a massive bang. This is a must-win on Sunday, and I don't think that can be forgotten in all this. Yes, we've got a fantastic new manager. We're all looking forward to it. But we need to win on Sunday.
What are you getting at? He's saying that we might lose. I'm not hearing it.
No,
not having it.
No.
Bring us
I'm
back
just pointing out that it is
Don't
a possibility, but it will not happen.
Fucking no chance.
And it's that
Not having
attitude,
it.
son. It's that attitude that can cause problems.
Not having it. Not having it. Not even. It's not even entering my head. Move on.
Listen,
That's coming.
Hibs haven't probably played in about a month because of the COVID situation. They've had a couple of weeks to prepare, whereas we've had players away international duty and what have you. Hibs always give us a difficult game. Probably over the last 2 or 3 years, our hardest games, in my opinion, have been against them. I don't think it's been against Celtic. Our hardest games have generally been 2-1 victories against Hibs or a 1-0 victory and what have you. Sunday, I hope, is different, and I hope we go out and we wipe the floor with them. But the most important thing is that we are at Hampden on the 19th of December to play the final. You just don't want any sort of mistakes made on Sunday. It's just about winning. The performance, as we always say, 3 points is all that matters. But obviously, it's not 3 points. It's getting to the final. That's all that matters on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, look, CGM, look, Hibs organised a closed door game to get a run out. That doesn't really matter. Every game is a must-win game for Rangers. I'm very well aware of that, Tam. I was just pointing out that Sunday is an absolute must-win. Scotty, Sunday, prediction and first goal scorer, because we could sit here and try and work out the team. There's no way we're going to be able to do that. We're going to win. What's the score going to be and who's going to score first?
5-1 Ryan Kent.
Oh, well, straight into it. Love it. Cammy?
Aribo 3-0.
Aribo 3-0. I'm going to go Morelos and 6-0. That's what I'm going to go for. No, I'm being serious. Morelos.
You just have another sip of that Heineken.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for not talking during it. Thank you very much. Graham, the future's bright. The future's...
Yeah.
God, you two are absolutely hopeless. Right, listen. Thank you so much to everybody who's tuned in. The numbers tonight were crazy. At one point, we were up to 450 watching live. Absolutely fantastic. We done a breaking news pod earlier. As soon as the news was announced, Jamie was hosting that. Jamie's up. For those who haven't seen him, beautiful looking man. So get over and check that out. Please do subscribe and like if you're watching on YouTube. This will be available to download on Acast and iTunes and all that good jazz from tomorrow morning, so you can listen to your podcasts there. Catch us on Patreon at patreon.com/Rangers Rabble. And follow us on Twitter at Rangers Rabble and on Instagram Rangers_Rabble. So Scotty, Cammy, guys, thank you very much.
No, thank you.
No,
it has been an absolute pleasure, and I'm so excited for Sunday, and I hope everyone else is.
Yes, we're all buzzing for Sunday. We are. Thank you to everybody in the comments. Thank you to everybody watching. Please like, please subscribe, and we will see you for live match reaction on Sunday, which will be very positive, happy, and then we can look forward to the future with our brand new manager, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. So thank you for watching. Good night.